Okay, so it's recording. So, and you don't need your weights or your ball or pillow just yet. But again, have your makeshift bar. So again, if you're at the edge of the chair, as long as when you move it, like it's not coming off, right? It's not a folding chair. It's a chair or something with substance, right? So I've got my TRX. I'm going to use that just because, again, it's going to hold me, right? It's not going to go all willy-nilly. So what I want to do is, I'll take this out just so you can see. Stand really firmly, and we're just going to start with some basic pliés, and I want to wake up our ankles. This class is pretty much tailored to the mobility and stability work we've been exploring with the hips, right? So a lot of what we're going to do today is in that same vein. So we're going to be pressing down into whatever prop I have, whether if it was like a ballet bar, right? And now as I go, right, I'm pressing down, and the pushing down is keeping my ribs in and my serratus, both anterior and posterior, my rhomboids and my latissimus muscles especially. It's keeping them locked in so that, again, if you think of it like your shoulder girdle is a vacuum seal, the shoulder girdle pulling down it traps the freshness, right? It traps the abdominals in that constant working. It just organizes everything. And then you're getting this lovely stretch for your levators, for the top of the traps, right? The sternocleidomastoid. All those things are kind of getting a reprieve as you move. And I'm not going super deep, right? I just want to get that sensation that I'm opening through my ankles. Immediately, I notice that this size ankle is a little tighter. And that's just, again, it's just information I'm going to use with me for the rest of the workout. I'm not pushing my knees forward. So I know sometimes a lot of people have that tendency to kind of push forward, and their pelvis just goes into that anterior tuck, right? Or posterior tuck. So instead, I really want to take my thighs up and back, and I want to pull my ribs in, right? And it's going to be a lot more restrictive, right? If I go like this, right, I can go all day long, right? But it feels shitty, and it's not it's not ergonomically sound, right? You're pulling your femurs away from your kneecap, and then you're pressing your feet down, almost like you're going to push through and make divots in the floor. So we're here for about a minute and change, and I want to explore the mobility in my ankles, right? So let's say 3 more. Good. Last one, hold here. And now I'm going to bring my feet to get a little closer together, because now I'm going to lift my heels and drop. And lift and drop. And as I'm lifting and dropping, just so you can see, right, I really want to lift and drop from, let's see how to phrase this. I'm pulling my thighs up and down. So my pelvis isn't moving, right? I'm not going lift and drop, right? I lift. I'm like absorbing the thigh deeper into my hip. And so I want to feel a little bit of a warming sensation, right? So really think, like, as you're lifting your heels, you're pulling the thigh up, 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 deeper, 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 right? You're pulling, like, the feet, the fibula and tibia, right? They're pulling in towards the knee, and then the thighs pulling in towards the hip. So every bone is pulling higher and higher and higher away from the feet, which has got this lovely articulation between flexion and extension. So let's do 2 more. Last one, now hold. And now I just want you to come down and squeeze up. And again, I'm coming down. As I go down, it's like I'm taking the elevator. I'm going straight down and straight up. If this hurts, like if you've had foot surgery, or if you have any kind of issues, then holding that releve feels crappy, right? Don't do it. And it's not like I'm asking you to be like on point. This isn't a ballet class, right? It's like you're just stretching and toning, right, the muscles of the feet. When you come all the way up, Imagine you're pushing the balls of your feet through the floor and bringing the inner thighs together. So there's a lot of activity right here, right? Nothing's getting through there. It's like the 1600s chastity belt of fitness. Right? You are closed for business. And again, and I love doing standing leg work because it gives me so much. Right? Like there's no pussyfooting around. There's like, it's really spot specific. If your heels are getting, or if you're feeling weak in the arches, put your heels down, but still you're pressing your feet through the floor and trying to get those inner thighs together, right? Not together and then tucking the tail, together and maintaining that neutral pelvis. And you'll feel it in the mid-body, right? You'll feel it in that space around the thoracic diaphragm. So let's say 4 more, right? Feet pressed down and then we lift. 2. We'll go 1 more. Good. And then I want you to hold on to your point of contact. Walk back enough that your hands can reach. And then I want to take my right leg up and then sweep forward. And when I come forward, I'm pulling the thigh into my hip and my knee goes into a bend. Not using my hip flexor, right? There's a little extra rotation. I'm letting that happen because it just feels nice. You ever notice that in ballet? Like, yeah, you could do that. What is it? There's attitude, and then the other one, which I forget. Wait, you know what I'm talking about. So the attitude, it just feels nicer for the body. So we're going to take it back, right? I'm going to come forward with my head, and I'm reaching my leg long. And then as I come forward, I'm going to pull the thigh into my hip, and I come out. Good. Arabesque. That's it. Arabesque. I knew it was going to come to me. And then pull the thigh back as I lift the leg. So from the side, and I'll do it without the strap so you can see. Right, so I start from that first position. I come back. And I want to feel my whole body work together. And as I come forward, right here, I'm pulling thigh into my hip. And I want to see if I can get that leg to be level with my pelvis. Right? And if there's any pain, what am I going to do? I'm going to inhibit the range of motion. Right? So as I come up here, if I feel like, ugh, I'm going to lower it. I'm still pulling the thigh into my hip. Standing leg is really active. Let me see you guys working. And make sure that you're not just rushing the movements. 2 more. Right? Think of it from the head to the toe. Right? And then think of it from your collarbone to your knee. That there's all this space. Right? Good. From here, we're taking into our second position. So second, it's not a wide second. Right? It's not a wide second. It's a neutral, right? Wide second would be like that wide plie. Right here, it's just a little, and you can ditch your holding or you can use it, whatever works for you. I'm going to come down and you'll see I'm putting my knees past my ankle line. Right, so what's going to happen to compensate, right, and it depends on your hips, but let's just play, we're just going to play it safe than sorry. As I come down, I'm going to come down and on this angle, right, and then squeeze. Right, when I squeeze, I really want to wrap my thighs back and my inner ankles forward. Down and squeeze. So as and I want to work this muscle. Yeah, and shoulders are down. And you can always interlace your hands and again, try to pull your fingers away and widen your elbows just to get that lock. Right, that might be nice because it's also going to guarantee or help inhibit. It's going to help guarantee the thoracic extension and inhibit any rounding. So as I come down, I pause. I want to feel that warmth by my inner thighs. Come up, and I squeeze, and I feel from the inner thighs move into my lateral rotators. long waist. How long can you make your waist, right? So we do this a lot in my classes, like in our time together. And I want you to think about it critically, right? When you come down, you're keeping as much of the length, right? You're not rounding and shortening. You're lengthening. So just a few. Press, squeeze. Last one. Good. And squeeze, bring the feet together. Shake it off. Let's do something. Let's just do jumping jacks, which is something that kind of shapes the Etch-a-Sketch. And I like jumping jacks just because they're basic. They're not hard. It's kind of like you're not even working out. You're just hopping about and having fun. It's like a smile for the body. Right? 10 more seconds. We're going to take that whole sequence on the other side, right? So just bring the body back into its neutrality. Good. And then let it go. Other side. So, pardon me. Grab your whatever, your stability force, if you're using it. If you're not, don't. I'd rather have stability than not. And so I'm not doing as much load. Pune and Karen, any side that feels tight, and Beth, I think that goes for you as well. Any side that feels tight, I would rather you offset it by having something to hold on to. So it's not feeling like it's getting stuck, right? You want to have that lift out of there. So here we go, other side. I'm gonna come back, right? Bring it up. Thigh pulls in, and I lift up. When I'm lifting up, my hip isn't lifting, my knee's lifting, right? It's like a pull, right? The back of the thigh is being pulled up to the ceiling as my head lowers. And then from here, thigh pulls into my hip drops, inner thigh pulls up. And again, I want to make sure that as I'm doing these exercises, that I don't feel tangled, right? Like my soft tissue doesn't feel like, ugh, right? It's not, again, I want to feel elegant, right? I want to feel cute. No, not cute. That's basic. I want to feel strong. I want to feel like inspiring, right? Like when you go and see a ballet, they're not just flopping on the stage. They're executing every single movement with precision, and it's awe-inspiring. But when we feel that in our body, when we house that experience for ourselves authentically, we become privy to something, right? And then it inspires us to keep going, right? It's the pleasure-pain principle. You've got the pain, right? Well, or we'll call it work, the effort. But then simultaneously, there's something so interesting and something that you're getting a profound pleasure from doing, that they sit and they exist together, right? Okay, let's do it 2 more times. Right, and again, remember what I said. If you feel like you're getting sticky and stuck, you just limit the range of motion. Absolutely fine. And then after that last attitude forward, release, shake it out. Come to the profile. So if you're holding onto your sofa or your chair, right, you're going to be facing with it parallel. So hand at the edge of the chair. I'm now in a wide second position, so think plie. And I'm coming down, lifting, and then I'm pushing the balls of my feet down, and I'm lifting my heels off. Lower the heels, down, up, lift, release, down, up, press down to lift up, release. Get that movement pattern, right? Just start to understand that movement pattern, right? So now I'm gonna get a little more specific. So keep moving, I'm just gonna talk at you. Talk to you, not talk at you. When I come down, I'm pressing my feet down to come up, and then I keep going, and it's like I'm driving the balls of my feet. My head lifts now. When I lower my heels, I'm going to keep lifting my head, so I'm feeling the space between my ribs and my pelvis. I want to intensify that space as I lower. Press, then reach as I lower. Keep reaching as I bend. Push, lift, push, lift. And then what I want you to feel like it's like you're pumping water from a well. That every time you come up, you're trying to stay up. Not just your head off your neck off your shoulders, your ribs off your pelvis off your thighs, right? It's like I'm playing with this like a jellyfish, right? I'm down, but I'm reaching. I'm pressing, but I'm lifting. I'm down, but I'm reaching. I'm pressing, but I'm lifting. 3 more. Right, and so you feel that like tangible, whoosh, right? There's something just kind of alien about it. Last one. Good. From here, you can step away, or you can stay with it. Doesn't matter what. So if this is the side that I would be holding on to, whether it's your table or chair, I'm going to come down and then pull. Down, pull. And you'll notice my elbow comes out. Remember I said knee and elbow. So I'm down and pull. For me, it really works for me. Right, because it's like that stick the landing, right? So when I'm here, I've got that rotation of both the upper arm and the thigh. And if you see, it's almost like my hand is moving right to bisect into my legs. So it's this whole long connected expression of the body. Down, squeeze. Down, squeeze. And hold that moment, right? Hold that, boom. And make sure that you're feeling your standing leg is rooting. Nice and slow. So again, don't think like, don't think sloppy, right? Like you're just kind of phoning it in, right? But back chest forward, ice skater, whoosh, ballerina, Let's go one more. Nice. And then release. We're going to come onto the floor now. So remember which leg we did, right? So for me, the point one, right? The passe, that's my right leg. So just remember which was your moving leg, which was your fixed leg. So we come down, hands and knees. We're going to do this and we're going to move across. We're going to go around the world. So we'll start with our fixed leg just because it's been so steady. All right, I have my hands, my knees down, pointing through all of my toes so I'm not rolling my ankles in towards each other. I'm pressing my pinkies down so my heels, knees, and balls of feet are in one line. I know you have a hard time with that, so really trying to make sure you're not either which way. All right. I'm going to take my left leg straight out. I'm going to now roll my whole body open. I'm going to take it down. So now my hips are stacked. I have to use my outer hip, right? Like I'm pushing against something. I'm going to lift like a clam. Lift. Keep the height. Rotate down. Other side. I work my outer hip. Position. I rotate, so now I'm on that bottom shin. I come down. Lift up into my clam. Now both sets of glutes are working. Down and down. Reach nice and slow. Right. Bring the feet together. Lower. Lift. Lift. Stay lifted. Down. First, there's that abduction, external rotation. Then I open up into that modified side plank. Join the feet. I'm in my clam. And then close the clam. Open. Separate the feet. Keep the abduction. And bring it back. Do that 2 more times either side. And again, shoulders are down. when you're coming out, right, we're going to keep our arms straight. Then we position. Then we draw the feet together. So there's my clam. Butt is sticking up. It's not tucking under. Then I lower down. Right? Press up. Clam. Feet together. Lift. Hold it. And down. Good. One more. And again, try and make every point stick. So it doesn't feel like you have marbles in your mouth and you're trying to elocute a statement. Right? Very clear diction through the body. We've done both the same amount of times. We'll come onto our backs with either a pillow or a ball. So onto the backs with either pillow or ball. And I'm going to have my legs long. And again, I want to feel that to my ability, the best of my ability. My legs are long and my trunk feels even. I'm not rolling onto one side or the other, right? So here we go. Point through the feet, flex through the toes. Take your pillow or your ball. I'm going to squeeze the pillow. I'm going to come up and I'm going to round. Just my ribs, right? I want to pull them in. I'm going to bring my arms here, squeeze, press up, lower down. And squeeze, lift straight up. Pull the ball in and press. Reach up and press. And lower down. We're going to be doing this in plank pose. So, right, when you're in your plank, remember this. Actually, keep going with that, and I'll just do a visual preview. You don't have to, if you're looking, you're just so you know. When we're in the plank pose, right, we're going to, same thing, just drop the head and press through. And then inhale, reach, right? So, similar feeling that I want you to feel. But now we're using the ball, and obviously in our plank, when we press through, we're not going to be lowering and lifting. That'd be crazy. Actually, I'm not quite sure. Oh, yeah, that's insane. I mean, it can be done, but I'm not going to do it. So let's do two more, and then we're going to come back up to standing. When we come to stand, we're going to take that wide plie with the rotational reach into passe. So after your last one, give yourself a big stretch. And then bring yourself back up. And if you felt like you needed that balance for the passe, right? If this movement wasn't working for you, you want to hold on, go ahead and set yourself up. Otherwise, right? I'm going to take it. And again, think of your rotation. I'm not rounding. It's not about how low I can go. It's how long I can go. So I'm down. And then I, right, stick the landing. Down. Down. And I don't know what it is. I love the breath work. Like inhale. And there's something very satisfying about that. I don't know if it's like a martial arts thing or running, right? But I just get this air of completion when I have that nice hiss exhale. I could really tie it all together physically, emotionally, mentally, but then energetically. Right? And again, don't worry if one foot felt more confident in your balance, right? That's why we practice. So if you find that you are leaning on this side or you were leaning on the other side, but this side really feels like you've nailed it, don't sweat it, right? We practice and then look for the little joys. Like maybe there's just this moment, right? Like when you're practicing handstand and even if you follow, you can't make it. There's just like a little hiccup that happens like when you drive or go down a roller coaster, drive down a hill. Right? It's an undeniable personal experience of I didn't get it, but for a second I had the idea, the zygote. So let's take that 4 more times. Right? Remember, that standing leg is pushing through the floor. You're lifting. Let's go 2 more. Good. We'll meet back on the floor. here we go. On the floor. And this time, I'm actually going to take my socks off because my floor is extra polished today and extra slippery. So I'm going to press my feet and my hands. Show you from the side view. So press my hands and my feet through the floor like I'm pressing through the floor. And then release. And then I push and release. So I'm giving myself just these few to practice with, right? So I'm really kind of being dramatic about letting it go and then pressing through. And now we're gonna make a last one, push. And now we're gonna come left hand, right foot, down, relax, push, down, relax. So now push your left foot and your right hand, and then right hand or left hand and your right foot, and switch and down and switch and down. Right, so if you think less of the fact that one arm and one leg are holding each other, but more on the fact that one hand and one foot are pushing, it's going to alter the experience. So yeah, right, because if I'm thinking, okay, I have to lift my left foot and touch my right hand, if that's the feeling, it's going to be a lot more like core and this connection. But what we're doing is we're working for the shoulder and hip stability. I'm going to think opposite. I think this is pushing, that hand's pushing, and then the other limbs just lift because there's so much energy, right? Like when you blow a balloon so much that it goes pop. So make sure you're even. Do each side one more time. And then from here, grab your ball again. I'm going to lower all the way down. This time, I'm going to stretch my body long. Okay, so reach the ball overhead. Pull your ribs into your body without tucking your tail. All right, now, and if it's not your ball, right, it's your pillow, whatever, you smush it. If I feel really choky on my shoulders, on my throat, I'm going to bend my elbows out and make it manageable, right? If I feel like I can't keep the openness across my chest or my upper shoulder. So just make that adjustment for yourself, and you can always try it 2 ways and see which works for you. Inhale. As I exhale, I'm going to reach up, round up, and then take my right leg. Come down whole, tiny pulse, come up, take my right leg, or whichever leg, left leg. Down, reach up, fold over. Open, and now I bend. Lower down and lengthen. We'll go to the left this time. So press up, round and reach, and left leg. Come down, tiny pulse, just to make sure I'm still in my upper abs. Right leg. Tiny pulse, up and over. Right? And think of it, it's like your ribs are trying to come through your back body. So when you lower down, right, do not let your ribs puff out. So even here, we're still working out, right? Come up, you round it. One's from here. You're lifting that leg up through the inner thigh. Down, re-engage, lift, inner thigh. Down, re-engage, lift, pull, in, and then envelop over that pulling in sensation. And here we go. And this is one of those exercises that fills me with a sense of joy. Right? Just because it feels so deep, like it's undeniable. Right, so here I am. Lift, inner thigh, down, tiny pulse, inner thigh, down, tiny pulse. Bring it up, bend it in. Okay, let's take our, how do I do this? We'll do this standing. We'll do this standing with a ball behind are, you know what, so whichever hip is tight. So I know Pune, it's your right hip. Karen, I'm not sure. And Beth, because I'm not sure of your scoliosis, but whichever hip feels like, remember we did the one that feels really spacious and one that feels really tight. So this is my tight hip. So I'm going to do that first, right? So I'm going to have my, whether it's a blanket or a ball or a big stuffed animal, matters not. And then again, if you don't have weights, don't worry about it, right? Whether they're your ankle weights, or you just want to imagine that the weight of your arms. So take the leg back. I'm trying to take the leg back and bring the hip forward. I'm just going to do my rows. And it's not here. I'm not here for a long time. I'm trying to encourage my standing foot to root. Right? What's going to happen, and it's kind of cool, the more rows you do, the more you're going to be able to lift that leg higher. We're only here for about 12. Like after every 3 or 2 or so, I want to see, can I lift that leg higher? And then holy heck, by God, I can, right? So do 2 more. Last one. And then release it. Shake it out for a second. Here's where it gets fun. You have your thing that you're going to hold, right? Whether it's your sofa or whatever, your bar, right? Our makeshift bar. So again, my heels like this. I'm in that small plie because I'm not holding myself with my knee. I'm holding myself up with my glute, right? The glute's the flower pot for your spine. So take that. Take it back to that attitude. I'm going to come down, hand my hands on my bar. I'm going to lift as high, as high, as high. Push down, lift up, and come back to that passe. Down. As high, as high. Nothing else is changing. I'm really forcing this, not from my back, but from my foot pressing down and my glute. Okay, right? So don't, the minute you find yourself, wherever you are, like if you're here, you're not changing your spine. So I'm making my arms, like I'm looking for mobility in my thigh at the hip. So don't use your back. 2 more. So I'm just going to show you without the ball just because it takes time. But if I'm here, I want to stay exactly as I am and force the glutes, force that connection between my bottom leg. And because you're not putting pressure on that mobility, right, you're not going to overstretch because you're using muscle. Well, the tendency is that you probably won't. The likelihood is that you're not going to. And then after this one, release. And immediately I just feel like this butt cheek had a really strong cup of coffee. And I'm like, So let's play with that. I'm going to have that foot forward, the one I was lifting. Right, it's going to come forward. I'm going to do a little hop, hop, hop. And it's nothing crazy, right? And this is a thing. I hate working out just for working out's sake. I want it to be fun. I want it to be explorative, imaginative, right? Like going to science hall, exploratory. I'm just trying to feel, is there spring in my step? Literally, is there spring? Can I jump and then stick landing, right? Stop and then push. 3 more. Right. 2. 1. Get out of there. Get out of there. All right, so before we do the second set, let's come down with or without your weights. We're going to go into dead bugs. Personal favorite. So dead bugs, you can see my arms. Let me go this way. We're going to diagonal. My arms are here, and I'm in a neutral pelvis, right? So when I look up, my heels are disappeared behind my thighs because everything is in alignment. And I'm going to take my right leg forward, my left arm back. Nothing's changed in my body. Bring it to center. Switch. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed, but everything's changed. And so I want to feel that there's no deeper or widened disconnect between my lumbar spine and the floor. Right? One set of ribs isn't popping up while the other set of ribs is depressing down. Right? And it becomes really meditative. And this is, so when I was working with my students who had strokes, I was working with them on a rehabilitation level. This is one of the first things we did, right? And you think about it because you're using both hemispheres of the brain keep going. And that's like, it's such an important thing when when babies are learning how to crawl, right? It really shows that whatever child development people, how their brain is starting to talk. Fun story, I never learned how to crawl. I kind of did a scoot like Quasimodo. And then everyone was like, she's got ADD. Like, not because of my crawling, but just it happens that I can't pay attention to anything. So whether I believe in ADD or not, I don't know. What I'm saying is that it does give you this fascinating way of looking at the body, and then looking at how all movement does actually stem from the gamma motor system, from the brain, right? Only to be executed as it's received through the several nervous passageways. So you get one more. Good. And then release. Roll yourself up, come on up, do whatever you want to make yourself perpendicular. And we're take that same thing on the other side. So I'm going to take, and so this is my tighter hip, right? That's why I worked it first. So it doesn't have to have all that load and then have to be asked to stretch. So again, I'm going to find my plie, right? My plie is what? It's not this, it's not a tuck. I'm so sick of hearing bar instructors say tuck your tail. That's such it's so, I'll save that diatribe for another day. This is not the platform. So here we go. Ball behind the knee, attitude position. I'm gonna hinge forward, right? Right here's where I feel like my end range is. I'm just gonna row. Maybe after 2 or 3, whoop, we'll lift it higher. Right, we're only here for about 10 to 12 rows. Lift it higher. Oops. I lost my balance. Don't lose your balance. Oops. And then last one. And take that ball. All right, come out of it, shake it off for a second. Now you're going to set yourself up with whatever it is, if it's your sofa, chair, bar, what have you. Right? Find that plie again. Ball behind the knee. I'm going to come down. I'm going to feel where my end range might be. And I'm going to try and press my standing foot down to lift, 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 pause. Bring it up. Passe. Remember, we've already been here. So come down. Right? I'm going to push my foot down in order to get my leg to lift, 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 lift down. If you can see it. Right, so pressing down to lift, 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 lift. And then I come up. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Passe. Try that a few times. So the legs lift is tantamount to your standing foot feeling like it's getting deeper and deeper through the floorboards. So don't do one and then the other. Do it in tandem. Press to lift. Right? Press down. And that's what's lifting. Right? A lot of times in yoga, when you work on your splits, so much of the split is about that back leg reaching. Right? Nothing is arbitrary. One more. We're going to wind it down. Good. And then make your way to the floor. So we're going to the upper body core phase. So we kind of introduced it with the rows, but hopefully you felt that like the more you were doing those rows, the higher that leg could lift, right? It's amazing. So let's take one weight if you can, and then let's try with the ball just to kind of signal in the brain, and then we're going to remove the ball. So ball's going to come by my thighs, just above, somewhere between the pubic bone and the knees. Yeah, so someone's right in the middle. So it's one, it's effort, and two, it's structurally sound. So I'm going to have my toes tucked. Right, I'm going to round my. Remember how we said, you're round, reach. Let's just start that further. Round. So it's just like what we did, right? Tail's not tucking, nothing's happening. I'm just pressing up, just like we did for our abs with the balls between the hand. Right. Press. Now from here, I'm gonna press. Take my arm, reach it back, open, lift the hips, take it down, round, reach, round, take the weight, reach it up, open, lift the hips, reach that arm, lift the hips, round, and bring it center. Lower your knees. So obviously you feel the ball when you come into that side plank. Your feet aren't going to stack. Your feet are just going to stay staggered and then center staggers together. But the ball really gives that sense of how your hips and your arms stay together. Here we go. I round for my upper abs. Reach. Right here, I'm in my side plank. My hips go up. My shoulder stays down. I'm in that rounded position. And then I stretch. Weight in my hand. Round. Weight comes up. Open to the right. Right shoulder stays down. Hips come up. Bring it down. Round. Stretch. Again. Round first. Reach it back. Open up. Side plank. Shoulders are even and down off the back. Round. Extend one more time. Grab it. Round it. Take the arm back. Open up. Lift your hips. Shoulder shrug. Use the core. Round it. Reach it. Release it. Open the chest. Open the chest. Take your gaze sideways. Sideways. So, ball between the knees, weights in the hand. And we're going to go into Pilates double dead bug. Meaning I'm trying to make a Pilates spin on an old gym favorite. So in this, right, would be like, right, what is here? Dead bug. We reach and pull in. Now here, I want to imagine that my hands are in straps. Right? And I want to feel that the muscles I was using all throughout class, especially the reaching the ball one, right, or the plank will be round, that those ribs are pulling in really, like really intensely, almost like you're trying to throw up from your diaphragm. So press. And you can take your arms a little wider if it feels better for your shoulders. It's fine. Now, hold it here, bring it all in. I'm going to punch my arms up and take my head up. Now I'm moving from those upper abs. And now I'm going to do the same thing. Bring it in. And remember how we were talking about sits bones forward, knees pull in, work the lower belly. Right here. And just for fun, as I come in, can I lift a little higher? Open, lift a little higher. Right, so it's all coming from the upper belly. Right, so, and if you're like, I can do it, but I really have to kind of make it an effort, don't, it's not worth it. Try one more, yeah. And then release it and relax it. So let's do a little mobility for the low back and hips. So have your feet on the floor, hips back. And I've got my arms stretching back, but really wherever your arms feel best to open your chest or your neck, right? That's all that matters. Arms are kind of irrelevant. Take my left leg. I'm going to open my left leg out without letting my left hip come off the floor. And then I'm going to point my toe And bring it past my thigh. Right, and that's the toe pointing, right, that releve. It's kind of guaranteeing that my hips reaching. Come back up. You will use sideways to here to come out. Right, I never go. Now I bend my knee. There's an active point in my toe. And I take that whole shape over to the right. So we could do this, and we have done this with a lot less, like where it's more ooey gooey and not as strong. But since this is kind of like a barre-inspired class, I thought we would be thoughtful, mindful, and well articulate, well elocuted through the body, even through the stretch last time. And I actually prefer stretching like this, where I'm using some form of muscle control, right? And not just like pulling my hands or using a strap. Hold it out. I'm going to sweep it forward and up and out. Sweep it forward and up. Nothing's moving. So as I'm doing this, my pelvis is staying still. Last one to the side. And that's happening a lot for my left thigh. Now let's reverse it. Down. Sweep out like it's a rond de jambe. Down. Sweep out. Let's go one more. Down. Sweep out. And then ankle to thigh. Rock it back. And make this look nice. Maybe make the twist a little drastic. Let's keep your chest up. Keep your chest open. One more. Good. And then release. Stretch your legs, stretch your arms. We're going to do a roll up to come up. So inhale, reach up, dive forward, point your toes. Right hand comes to my left thigh. I'm going to open. Down my shoulders. Ribs pull in. Left hand behind the head. Good. Side bend. Try to reach my elbow away from my sits bone. Exhale, elbow to elbow. And open. One more time. Elbow to elbow. And open. Good. Release. Roll down to come down. We got that other side, and then we're done. So again, arms wherever they feel good. My hands, I just always bring my hands behind my head. I'll do it this way so you guys can see my leg. So my foot's on the floor. My left foot's on the floor. My right leg is up. Now this one's going to be harder. This is a harder side for me to control that pelvis. Right? So I really got to use my abs here because right here, I'm having a hard time controlling this side of my body. Come up. Bend the knee, strong point. I find my twist, right? Lengthening all this. So nice, I think. Lift up. Do my best, using my muscles to keep that hip grounded. It's not hard, it's not easy. Point. Keeping the space between my hip and my ribs, and then playing with it. Press. Okay, here we go. Trying to keep that hip and that back body down. Breathe when you're at the bottom of that rotation. Like breathe into it. Really use the lungs to stretch the body from the inside out. Let's go one more. And then from here, raise our bondage arms. So I'm going to come out, around, sweep up, out, around, and sweep up, out, around. Let's get that clip in. It's also the hip that causes me the most I was a little bit, I'm a little nervous. And I've had several teachers say, well, just soft tissue release ran. I don't know. And then take it down. I have way too many friends who've had hip surgeries at a young age from teaching with an improper understanding. Not to say I have proper understanding, that's what I'm saying. I might not, and that's what makes me nervous every time I hear a click. But I always falter on everyone who I've been coached with. Assurance that it's probably nothing. Let's go one more. I'm just going to share my neuroses. My nervous thoughts. Good. And then ankle to knee. Little side to side. Right? Nice and easy. This one, just let it go. Love this one so much. It's so nice because rotation, I think, is so important for us. And then the opening of the chest, because your chest and your shoulders, that's the fixed thing. You're forcing it, or this movement pattern is forcing it to open and not round. And you're getting all this lovely stretch across the hips and the pelvis. So it brings movement into the places that we don't always have it as much as we need it. And then openness and stillness and structure to the places that we don't usually have that. And then extend your legs nice and long. Flex your toes. Pull each toenail towards you. Reach your fingers. Think like you're pulling your thighs into your hips, but you're reaching your heels out of the shins. And arms are going to come up over the chest. As I come up and dive, I'm also going to point my toes. We did this the other day. So inhale. Exhale. Body follows the soles of the feet. Here, left to right, open and twist. And reach your arm up from that sits bone to the elbow, lengthen. Exhale, round. Inhale. Exhale, round. Inhale, hold. And reach. Fold forward. Feel side to side. Right? Let your head go. Hands come behind you. Open your chest. Keep the openness. Ribs in. Jaw back. Gaze back. And let it go. Good work, everybody.